Welcome to this explainer. Over the next 7 minutes or so, we are going to build a truly wholesome understanding of this topic and totally change how we look at kids and technology. Seriously, we're breaking down a brilliant framework today that shifts our entire focus. Instead of stressing about what children are doing on their devices, we're going to look at what those devices are actively training those children to become.
Okay, let's dive right into this by tackling the most common and honestly the most frustrating question parents and educators ask today. You know the one. Is screen time actually bad? Like how many hours is too many? We hear this everywhere, right? But according to our source material, asking that is actually way too blunt of an instrument. It kind of treats screens like this mysterious giant monolith, and it completely misses the invisible mechanics of what's really happening inside a developing brain.
Now, notice how this instantly shifts our perspective. It takes us right out of that baseline panic over minutes and hours and moves us into an empowered expert-level evaluation. We have to move away from that old question, how much screen time, and instead ask the expert question, what is this environment actually teaching? It's a real game changer because it forces us to evaluate digital spaces based on what they actually do to a child's mind, not just, the ticking clock on the wall.
So let's get into Section 1, the hidden digital highway, moving past the screen time debate.
To really grasp this, think of a child's digital world kind of like the inner lanes of a super busy highway during rush hour. What just looks like random movement is actually an active training system. It's shaping habits, expectations, and emotional reflexes through repeated, totally ordinary exposure. The crucial point here is that these aren't just places kids casually visit. No, they are systems that actively train them on what to notice, what to want, and even what to expect from other people. And it doesn't happen with one big traumatic event. It happens little by little through ordinary, everyday repetition.
Moving right along to Section 2, how screens train minds, the mechanism of repeated signals.
So how do these signals actually work on a developing brain? Well, the key here is to stop thinking of a screen as just a physical object and start viewing it as a relentless stream of signals, colors, sounds, rewards, social feedback. Our source material uses this absolutely brilliant metaphor. Think of attention like a flashlight in a dark room. Digital input keeps nudging the flashlight toward the next bright object. I love that because it perfectly illustrates how constant notifications, short clips, and virtual badges literally force the mind to practice rapid switching. The flashlight never stays still long enough to illuminate the whole room. Instead, the brain is just practicing rapid reaction over and over, rather than sustained, deep focus. And it goes way beyond just visual attention. The source gives us another incredible analogy. Think of it like a home where the doorbell rings every few minutes. Just think about how on edge you'd be living in that house. You'd be jumping out of your skin all the time. Over time, everyone in that house becomes more alert, more reactive, and way less settled. And the crazy thing is, even when that digital bell is completely silent, the child's body starts expecting disruption. It's actually teaching their nervous system that constant stimulation is simply the normal baseline state. Because children learn from what happens often, this constant ringing creates some severe fallout. These repeated digital interruptions actually alter their baseline expectations for how fast-paced life should be. When repetition turns into expectation, waiting suddenly becomes so much harder. Stillness feels deeply uncomfortable. Silence begins to feel empty and annoying instead of restful. And novelty? Well, that starts to feel absolutely necessary rather than optional. The child's baseline for normal, everyday life has been completely readjusted. And then, of course, there's the social aspect, where feedback literally becomes identity. The real danger here isn't that children become fake overnight. It's that they slowly start to confuse being seen with being valued. Social metrics like views, likes, and streaks act like a distorted mirror. They teach children to constantly adjust their developing identities to match whatever gets the most visible approval online. It actively rewards some versions of the self and entirely ignores others. Which brings us to Section 3, the developmental trade-offs, growing under digital pressure.
When a developing mind grows under this kind of digital pressure, it gets pushed in certain directions way faster than some of their physical or emotional capacities can comfortably handle. The source states, think of development like building a house where each room is being renovated at a different pace. This is just a fantastic way to visualize it. If the internet is constantly upgrading the entertainment room without reinforcing the structural foundation underneath, well, the child's development might look incredibly impressive on the surface, but they're actually becoming fundamentally less stable.
When we map this all out, we see a direct clash between what a capacity needs to grow and what digital pressure actually does to it. Take focus, for example. Focus needs time, continuity, and low interruption, but digital pressure totally fragments it. Motivation needs meaningful reward over time, but digital pressure makes rewards feel immediate and only immediate. Frustration tolerance needs practice with delay and difficulty. Digital pressure dramatically lowers it. Basically, these higher-order capacities require space and time, but digital pressure frequently removes that space entirely.
And this brilliantly illustrates the core of our explainer right here. Digital environments are not simply good or bad. Instead, they're a system of direct trade-offs that literally reallocate developmental energy. Having access to incredible information might cost a child their patience for slow learning. Connection across vast distances might cost them their tolerance for just being alone. Fast feedback often results in reduced self-reflection. It is a constant, ongoing trade-off.
Okay, moving to Section 4, steering the digital system. Judging, steering, and staying human.
So knowing all of this, how do families and educators wisely steer this developmental direction? Because, let's be real, we can't just pretend the digital world doesn't exist. Recognizing this four-step loop allows you to stop treating digital life as some mysterious force and start seeing it as a totally predictable system. Step 1. Digital environments repeatedly shape attention and expectation. 2. Those repeated patterns become part of what feels normal. 3. What feels normal influences how development proceeds. And 4. That development produces a child who is highly comfortable in some modes of life and entirely unprepared for others. This means we can actually diagnose the environment. By asking a few diagnostic questions, you're no longer blindly reacting to screens. You're actively reasoning about what kind of person the environment is practicing the child to become. Ask yourself, is the app building focus or fragmentation? Is this game strengthening their self-worth, or is it making approval feel super fragile? Is it expanding social learning or turning their social life into a performance? Is it helping the child recover or keeping them permanently activated? Because ultimately, good steering is never, ever about purity. It's about trade-offs and calibration. If you expect a perfectly pure zero-screen existence, well, actually, scratch that. It's pretty much a losing battle today. The real goal is mature calibration. It's consciously choosing which developmental effects you're willing to invite in and which ones you absolutely must actively reduce to ensure the child builds true, lasting inner stability.
To stay human inside a system that is entirely designed to capture and monetize attention, it is absolutely crucial that a child has experiences that are deeply meaningful even when nobody is watching. They need rhythm, they need offline recovery, they need unstructured play, and they definitely need relationships that aren't tied to an algorithm. They just need the space to become themselves without an audience. Ultimately, your goal isn't to keep children entirely away from digital life. That's likely impossible for sure. The real goal is to guarantee that the screen isn't the only teacher shaping their mind. So I'll leave you with this provocative thought to consider for your own home or classroom. When you look at the daily life of the children you care about, is the digital world the loudest teacher in the room? And if so, what exactly is it practicing them to become?